Morning, Tom. How are you?
Hey, Sean, I'm doing well. How about you?
Well, we have made it to almost November of 2020, and I think that's a mild accomplishment by itself.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's been an incredible year.
Incredible. And, it's, I want to dive right into it with you. Even before, everything since March and COVID and all the challenges and the changing economy, one of the things that was toughest for advertisers before that, and I think it's exacerbated more even now, was what we call, putting it all together. I mean, there's so many customers that are, diving into so many screens and so many devices, and it's all great. But I think the real thing that marketers need is somebody to put it all together. What is the New York Interconnect built to help marketers put it all together?
Well, we've been ahead of the game in many respects because we have an interesting dynamic within the New York Interconnect. We're made up of three of the largest cable companies in the New York DMA. They each have different product offerings. They all want to be audience based, and we want to be audience based as an offering to marketers to have it totally uh, based on where the audience is. And so we created this product called Audience One, and it's merely a multimedia delivery solution for audiences to marketers, no matter where they are, no matter how they view it or how they consume content.
Yeah. And why is that so important in New York? Not to play devil's advocate, but why is that something that's so important to build in New York? What is it about that market that demands that?
Well, New York, not just being a New Yorker, but New York is an interesting market because when you look at the demographics and you look at the population and you look at the discretionary spending and you look at the overall income, it puts us at the top of the list. We're the number one market in the country in that way. And if you want to buy the US, that's great. If you want to heavy up in New York, that's even more important because we over index in all of those attributes that marketers are looking for.
Yeah. Well, I want to hear more about this platform, but I know that putting together, you talked about the partners, you talked about the challenges, you talked about the market. You had to overcome some big challenges, and there's got to be a lot of work to do. Um, the construction of the platform you're talking about. What are some of the challenges that still need overcoming? And we've made so much progress in as a media industry, but I'm sure that there's some things that you could name now that you wish, could make the product even better. What are some of those challenges?
Well, like I said, the challenges we have is that we're dealing with not only linear, but we're dealing with video on demand, over the top, digital display, connected TV, you name the platform, and we have some link to it. The problem is that in a lot of cases, those links are non-standard and they require manual manipulation in order to make it look like in the back boiler room, things are working well. So I would say that if we can come up with standards um, based on reporting and measurement requirements and based on getting data put together in a singular way using standard programming interfaces that put the file formats the same, that automation would help us immensely get to a point of turning around reporting, pacing reporting, affidavits that are standard, and then post-campaign analytics that are standard.
Got it. You'd mentioned your three critical business partners and owners in putting this together, and you just talked about standards, and obviously that calls for partners. What's the next era of partnering with respect to heightening the New York Internet's capabilities, which are already terrific, but partnering is the key, right? What do we next need in your next great round of partnering?
So in partnering, and this is part of what we'll talk about later on in the conversation, but partnering is a necessary part of what we do, not only because it brings audiences to our advertisers, but the idea that there are changing platforms over time. New platforms come on the scene, old platforms go away, and the capabilities of those partners are varied. So for us to be offering a singular audience one approach to everything that we bring to a marketer, we have to make sure that all partners, as they come and go, are able to deliver on that same promise that we make as a general product.
Got it. Let's jump into what I think is probably the most innovative thing about your product. And we're going to shift gears a little bit. And I'm going to ask you to look at things through the view of the marketer, the glasses through the marketer. When you take a look at, the challenge, which is taking something in that's pretty complex and needing to make it pretty turnkey and pretty simple and take the friction out of the process. So what is the experience like when you've got a customer. Take us through the journey through the customer glasses as to what it's like from being onboarded to working and what the benefits are, and I'm just going to ask you to play customer and tell us what it's like.
So a great question. And I think that's one of the ones that we feel most comfortable with. The way we think about it is who, what, and where. Who's the marketer going after? What are they trying to accomplish? And where is that audience going to be found? And so we bring to that conversation an immense amount of experience. And not only that, we have a clear insight as to how to get that audience because we know where they are typically. And that's done through first and third party data, some sort of crafted plan that goes into exactly where they are. And then beyond that, it's telling them after it's all said and done, here's how well you performed.
Okay, so beginning, middle, and end. It's hand-holding and it's professionalism throughout the entire thing. Best in class technology, best in class platform, which is not easily done. With that, have you seen that there are categories where you've gone from playing a more significant role, where you've gone from onboarding and trial, and now there's categories where clearly you're a pillar investment? Or are there certain categories where you're seeing those types of returns already?
Yeah, there are. I mean, we like to think of it as that there are times when we're given an opportunity to demonstrate that we can bring an audience to a particular advertiser. One that comes to mind is in gaming. In recent time, the advertisers came to us and we were able to bring to them the exact audience they want at scale across all platforms.
Yeah, well, you said audience, and that's gonna tripwire another idea here, and it's nomenclature and it's popular, but it's more than that, and that's audience-based buying, which a lot of people are talking about. And to me, what I'm trying to figure out is, so when you're talking to a client and you want to talk to them about audience-based advertising, planning, buying, execution, what's the advantage to thinking about audiences versus thinking about all the different screens and conduits that you can pull together for them? Why do you talk about and why do you think about audiences as opposed to screens and conduits?
Sure. The way I think about it and the way that we try to bring it to the marketplace is the same way that you probably behave in your daily routine, right? You, the individual, consume content in different modes across different mediums. And when you think about it, you could be getting up in the morning and saying the first thing you do is you check your phone. And if you check your phone, I want to be able to hit you with something. And if an hour later you're on the commute and you're on your iPad, I want to be able to get you there. And if you get to the office and you're online, I want to get you there. And if you get home and you're watching some linear program, I want to get you there. And if you're at nighttime, again, closing down and watching the news, I want to get you there. So we want to be agnostic from where you're taking the content, and we want to make sure that we follow you, the audience, wherever you go.
Now, and are you able to demonstrate and you're able to quantify how the reach is built? And when you're talking about those various contact points in a given day, I would think that the magic comes in and when you're able to express, what the reach is against that audience in whatever the time continuum is. Is that one of the key things that people are looking for?
Yeah, they are looking for that, and we're able to do it. We can show them ad exposure, and we can show them on the backside of it how well they performed, and that's available today in our Linear Plus program, as well as our extension outlets with video on demand, over the top, and display and video connected TV.
You mentioned the word agnostic, and I think that's so important. The key media partner has to function as the investment partner. But many of us came through great success through linear TV. Has that been a discipline that's been learned in the organization? Is that that agnosticism is the only way to go with respect to the way the pieces work?
I think that over time it has gotten more and more acceptable to not only traditional buyers but traditional sellers when they realize, and we go back many years on using data to inform not only schedules, but to create segments. And when you think about it, TV is a great platform to start with. So 75% of all 18 plus viewers are on TV. And when you complement that with over the top, it's a multiplier. And that multiplier, I think you well know, Sean, out of the VAB, that multiplier is important for marketers to get that reach that they want.
Yeah, and I imagine that's not something that you shy away from, even being agnostic, is this idea that I'm sure the question's asked by advertisers, can we still use linear as the hub? And
It's
it sounds like from your metric experience with real live clients that lift in that sort of, the ability to, make the whole program stronger is one of the driving roles that you're seeing out of the hub of linear TV.
it's a great hub to have. And on that, when you think about what we can do with not only the hub, but it may be the anchor point from which then we can tell based on informed schedules where they're likely to be found in other platforms.
Can you talk to me about how else does the New York Interconnect help its advertisers measure success?
So we are able to do right now, and I'm going to take you into just a little bit about our Linear Plus platform, which is all part of the Audience One approach to things. We're able to inform a linear schedule. And when I say inform, we're using data as the basis for the schedule's creation. And then on the back end, we're able to do one-to-one deterministic evaluations of that platform, meaning that we can show the ad exposure matched to the conversion and tell advertisers, here's how successful you've been. And by doing that, we're able to even tell them at what network day part program is better turning around results for you than others that might have been in that schedule. So that going forward, those are data informed outcomes that then drive the next set of schedules so that they're more crafted to exactly what they want.
You use the word deterministic, which kicks us into the word attribution, which is getting more play than maybe even audience-based buying. When a prospective advertiser talks to you about this term of attribution, how do you talk to them about your sort of attribution philosophy, if you will? I like the description you just had of sort of how the system works, but how do you talk to an advertiser about how to think about that concept of attribution?
Well, it's important because they're spending serious money on things that they want to know are working. And so we want to bring them the outcomes that they want so that not only do they return to us to spend more, but that they understand that not only do we have the depth and breadth of knowledge and experience about where to find the audiences, but that we can show them that the conversion that they're getting is a result of the money that they've spent on those campaigns.
Yeah. Well, and inherent in all of this is this four-letter word called data. And certainly with your owners and partners, you've got, tremendous, first-party data. Now, with data-driven TV solutions, advanced advertising, data-driven TV solutions, very often people will think of the word addressable and addressable, television executions, and they'll think that's where the attribution is at. Now, with the platform you have, that's not restricted to addressable TV advertising, right? I mean, we're talking about the ad application for linear as well, correct?
That's correct. And that's where I think we differentiate ourselves from other players in the marketplace. We're fortunate enough to have enough data to be able to inform the schedule in a very, very smart way. And beyond that, we're able to tell advertisers that we are now going to make a change to it because during our monthly evaluation or our weekly evaluation or our daily evaluation, depending upon how long the campaign is, we're able to tell them where they need to make a fix because it's not giving them the results they want. So the data itself is fine for linear plus, but then when you take that same type of data, the segmentation data based on first and third party information, we can go ahead and create those same extensions through addressable digital or through crafted digital campaigns outside of the inventory that the owned and operated partners have that are OTT or they're connected TV, and give them that same reach, frequency, and information that shows that it's working.
Yeah, but it's fascinating to think of the amount of insights that you personally and your organization and your sales pro and people who are tight to your platform have learned through this process, and being able to do full end-to-end world-class metrics and things like that. When you're generally speaking about the things that you've learned in terms of the piece parts, and again, I'm whole respect to wanting to be agnostic on a case-by-case basis, but are there some general things about maybe it's linear, maybe it's other pieces where you do kind of see a 1 + 1 = 3 with the addition of, or the hub of a linear and two other pieces or one other piece where there's a multiplier effect? Or there's some general things that you've been able to observe?
Oh, definitely. we can tell you that based on campaigns that we've run, and we, when I say we, NYI, going back over 8 years with addressable, and then now with Linear Plus, and now with a whole list of extension partners that we use today, we can show that by combining your linear schedule with specific and sometimes general data around other platforms and their capabilities, we can definitely show you that there's a multiplier effect, especially when it comes to being able to say that not only have we tracked them, but that conversion is happening and it's real time, and you wouldn't have gotten that on scale with a single platform. So that's why we'd like to think that if you're pivoting off of the linear schedule where 75% of viewing's happening, and then you augment that with schedules that are based on over-the-top connected TV, VOD, you're going to get what you're looking for at a high rate of conversion.
Yeah, that's terrific. I'm going to ask you one last question, and it's
Sure.
going to be the easiest one. and it's this. If you and I were talking 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 15 years ago, and I was able to show you the video of you and I just talking right now with all of the capabilities that you've been able to describe, and all the different pieces that you can pull together, and all the technology and the data, would you say to your advertising community or the broad advertising community with respect to what New York Interconnect has built since over the last 10 years, 12 years, would you say that as a business, promises kept to advertisers, all the things that we said we thought we might be able to do and hoped we can do, maybe not all, but that the promise has been kept in terms of what our capabilities are? If you and I were to look at this interview 12 years ago, I think we'd both be pretty thrilled. Would you say promise kept?
Promise kept, and more to come. I think that there's so much more we can do with easing the buy, making it easy. I think promise kept in that of the things that we've attained so far, they've been able to see that the dollars they're spending are really working. And I think going forward, they're going to find that if they want to go out into other sources of inventory, that NYI is going to be there ahead of them, and trying to make it work easily and be able to deliver the types of measurement that they're looking for with the ease of just turning on their computer, and up comes this beautiful dashboard, and it says everything they want to know about the program that the campaign they've committed to.
Yeah, I think that's the best summary. Simplicity up, friction down. Both accountability and capability as wide as you can imagine, and we'll eventually get there. And the progress so far has been terrific. I really want to thank you for taking the time and talking to me.
Thanks, Sean.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.